I told my friend that being settled for isn't the worst thing in the world. I was talking to my buddy Anna about her dating experiences. Anna is an extremely attractive woman who has no shortage of suitors. She ended their relationship because she was out of his league and he was aware of it. He would display insecure behavior. According to Anna, she didn't want to accept anything less than the greatest. She questioned why anyone would settle and mentioned how my marriage was a good illustration of love. I informed her that although my spouse wasn't attracted to me, he settled for me, and we still had a wonderful marriage. It's hardly the worst thing in the world to be settled for. I am blissfully married to my high school sweetheart, Alan. He suffered severe bullying in both middle and high school. I stood up for him my sophomore year when I moved into his hometown. He had pals at the end of his senior year, and he asked me to prom. We are contentedly married 10 years later. I am aware, nevertheless, that my spouse doesn't think I'm attractive. Compared to the ordinary woman, I naturally have more muscle and height. I'm really insecure about it. My spouse admitted inebriated a year after our marriage that he didn't think I was attractive. He likes little, delicately featured women, but he was thankful for what I had done and felt compelled to praise me. This explains why he asked me to prom, why he proposed to me, and why we dated all through college. He wasn't attracted to me, but he still loved me very much. He was hungover and had forgotten his confession by morning. Because he says it like it is and lacks a filter, he doesn't drink much. Although I was devastated, the rest of our marriage was excellent. I kept his words to myself that evening. He made a wonderful husband. In any case, I don't think most men find me attractive. After I told Anna everything, she was appreciative of the guidance. Alan began to cry that evening. I heard him cry softly, yet I still woke up. He acknowledged that he had overheard our chat when I gave him a hug and inquired what was wrong. Since I was in the basement, I didn't think he would hear me, but when he heard his name, he chose to pay attention. I said I was sorry if I had offended him, but it only made him cry more. I'm not sure what went wrong or even if I did anything wrong. Edit: Anna didn't need my advice to settle. She was never going to be content to settle for anyone. I basically informed her that my marriage is based on settling and that it's not the worst thing in the world. For me, my spouse made do, and we're content. I counseled her to remain loyal to herself and her convictions. The relationship cannot progress if she's not content. Update: Hi there. I'm back with a brief report. It was a little overwhelming to have so many messages on my post. I would want to admit that, in addition to my husband, I also enjoy pleasing other people. I desire their happiness. I wish the best for my spouse because I love him. I respect faithfulness, and we are highly monogamous. He now sees a personal therapist, and we attended couples therapy sessions together. Finding the right person for us was surprisingly simple, but even though I paid a lot of money for our sessions, they left me feeling confused. Our counselor was an elderly woman who was reassuring, but yet practical. We talked about our lives, how he was tormented, how we got together, got married, and pursued our careers. We loved one another, so it didn't matter that he had drunkenly told me he wasn't attracted to me. I'm not sure what had upset him. Sincerely, she questioned if we wouldn't be content to be best friends with other people's spouses. Alan firmly refused. She mentioned things like affection and having sex. She paid particular attention to our comments that we had an active sexual life with a few eccentricities and that we are very loving. She was basically saying that since you can't have all of those things at once, someone is lying at some point. Alan became agitated and said he didn't want to talk about thinking horrible or repulsive things about me when she asked him to walk through his attraction. After a lengthy talk that I still don't understand, he basically said that he thought it was inappropriate for anyone, especially other people, to sexualize or think that way about me. He cherished me just as I was. It had nothing to do with the fact that I was his wife, a woman, or any of those commonalities. He believed that everybody who thought negatively about me was evil and that I ought to be shielded from them. I was too kind, gentle, and pure, Alan said, the counselor, to believe that negative thoughts were being held about me and other evil individuals. That's something I've never heard anyone else say. I assured our counselor that nothing untoward had occurred. Alan told me that I was thinking of him again and that I should worry about myself. I was concerned that Alan had experienced trauma in the past that had left him distrustful of people since he had been bullied so severely in school. I still didn't comprehend how dangerous the world is for me, he remarked. He sobbed as the counselor questioned him about any shame he felt about his attraction. I had extensive surgery a few years back, and Alan assisted me with everything, including eating, taking a shower, and moving about. He admitted that he mistakenly gave me a closer look when helping me bathe or get dressed, since he sensed that I was beginning to recognize he was thinking such thoughts about me and shut down. Although I don't really recall it, he is my spouse. I didn't care if he looked, nor do I mind. He expressed his desire to live out the rest of his days with me and how much he loves me. I do have people-pleasing tendencies, and I was raised to prioritize the needs and wishes of others over my own. But overall, according to my counselor, I'm in quite good mental health. I was given several booklets and packets to complete. They informed my husband he needed to start intense therapy right away. His initial appointment was a few days ago. I have no idea what happened to cause him to think the way he does or where this is leading. He was not raised in a religious household. His parents are well married and exhibit a lot of affection. My husband still has my love and support. Update 2. Alan, my spouse, stopped going to therapy because he said it made him worse, but we still attend marriage counseling. In therapy, we learned a great deal. He had experienced severe bullying at school, which was a major source of his distress. His buddies deserted him, the elders looked the other way, and he was unable to notify his parents. So up to my arrival, he felt alone. Because I stood up for him, the bullies stopped picking on me, and he started receiving pleasant comments from others. He thought of me as his rescuer and loved me. His poor mental health was the issue. My husband experiences intrusive ideas, but I believe he was undergoing a diagnosis. I've always been perceived as older because I'm taller and stronger than other kids. I'm still clearly a woman, even though I'm inherently taller and stouter. I've always felt strange about my body because small and skinny are the hallmarks of beauty standards. However, that didn't stop teenage lads, and it doesn't stop creepy men either. Additionally, his bullies have made demeaning remarks about me that are typical of vicious teenage guys. Some of what they said coincided with his ideas because they were fantasies, normal thoughts, or invasive thoughts. He thought about me a lot, both intrusively and in fantasies. He was reassured that although he was just as awful as everyone else, he could control the negative views that others had about him. He decided not to be drawn to me as a result. He claimed that the more he got to know me, the less he could let the rot out of me and the more pure and precious I appeared. The world would ruin me, therefore he had to protect me. He also expressed extreme denial in his inebriated remarks, as if to persuade me that he hadn't considered anything repulsive about me. That does provide some explanation for my husband's actions toward me, particularly in the bedroom. It also clarifies why he guards me so closely. He has always been a devoted husband, which is different from someone who isn't drawn to me. His ability to explain a lot of things hurt him greatly, but the bathtub memory made him more susceptible to unwanted thoughts and fantasies. It was also the first time I had ever felt physically defenseless and in need of his assistance. A portion of the therapy was aimed at taking me down from my pedestal, but it was ineffective and his intrusive thoughts continued to worsen. I agreed with him when he stated he had to step down. I told him I loved and trusted him after he shared some of his fantasies with me, some of which were normal and some of which were unsettling. Our marriage is solid and I'll support and be there for him.